Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today we are continuing the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, Chapter 1, The Scandal in Bohemia, Part 5. So let's start. He was dressed as a non-conformist clergyman with a black and baggy trousers. His white tie and benign smile made him look like a real clergyman. Not only he had changed his costume, but he had also changed his expression and manner. His background as the stage actor could be clearly seen here. We left the house of Irene Adler and arrived a little before 7 p.m. It was already dusk and the lamps were being lit. There were a few people on the road, a group of shabby dressed men who were laughing and smoking, a scissor grinder with his wheel, two guardsmen who were flirting with a nurse, and a few young men who were lounging up and down. As we paced the street, Sherlock told me, no matters were simplified with marriage of Irene Adler and Norton. The photograph had been double-edged weapon, as Irene would not want her husband to see it, just as our client was keen to hide it. But how are we going to find it? I asked. It must be in the house. She would not want anyone else to see it, replied Sherlock. She will lead me to the hiding place of the photograph once I am inside the house. We heard the rumble of a cab and Sherlock turned to me and said, "Carry out my instructions to the letter." The cab pulled up near the house, and as the door opened, some of the loafers who were standing around dashed to help the lady in hopes of earning some money. Each man wanted to get copper, hence they pushed each other. Soon a fierce quarrel broke out and the poor lady was stuck in between. Sherlock dashed into the crowd to help her but caught a punch and fell down bleeding. Seeing the bloody-faced man, the crowd dispersed and was replaced with a crowd of well-dressed clergymen who were trying to help Sherlock. Irene Adler ran up to the house and asked the crowd to bring the man who had helped her inside. Just as Sherlock had said, the living room window opened after a few minutes. I saw Sherlock signaling me. I threw the canister he had given me and raised a cry of fire. The house filled with smoke. In an instant, I saw figures moving through the thick smoke in the house. Moments later, after assuring the people that was a false alarm, Sherlock stepped out and rushed towards the end of the street. I followed. "You did it very nicely, Doctor," Sherlock remarked. "No one could have done better. Excellent work." "Do you have the photograph?" I inquired. "I know where it is." "And how did you find that out?" "When the woman's house is on fire, she rushes to collect her most precious things. In our case, the photograph." Sherlock smirked. He had set up the quarrel to get into the house, and I did the rest. "Well, we will visit the king tomorrow and then take him to the woman's house. I think the king would like to retrieve the photograph himself," he commented. "And now," I asked, "now we wait till tomorrow morning. We will visit her at 8 o'clock a.m. She will be still asleep at that time, and by that time she comes to meet us. She will neither find us nor the photograph," Sherlock explained. We reached Baker Street, and as Sherlock was looking for his keys, a young man greeted him from the crowd. Sherlock stopped for a second and said he had heard the voice before. Then we went in to retire for the day. I spent my night at Baker Street, and the morning after we had a coffee as we waited for the king to arrive. The king rushed into the room and seemed to be very happy. Sherlock proceeded to narrate to him the details of the case. Sherlock explained how Irene Adler getting married simplified things for him and seemed relaxed relax and smile. Nevertheless, the photograph was the main objective, and we headed to Irene Adler's house as per our plan. When we arrived, the door to her house was open and an elderly woman was standing at the entrance. We stepped out of our ride and walked up to her. "Sherlock Holmes, I believe," she said. "I'm Sherlock Holmes," said my companion, looking puzzled. "My mistress told me you would visit. She left Britain this morning with her husband. Never to return," she said, smiling. "What?" Sherlock shouted, pale with surprise. Sherlock rushed inside. The furniture was scattered in every direction. It seemed like someone had robbed this place in a hurry. Sherlock rushed to the hiding place in which he had seen Irene Adler keep the photograph. He found the letter addressed to himself and the picture of Irene Adler in her evening dress. The letter was dated at midnight, and Sherlock read it out loud. "My dear Sherlock Holmes, you did it very well. You almost fooled me until the alarm that there was fire. I had suspected nothing, but then I saw how you exposed my secret. I had already been warned about the famous Sherlock Holmes, and that the king would employ you to get his hands on the photograph. But you are not only the one trained in the art of disguise. I followed you disguised as a young man, and I greeted you at your door and left to see my husband. We both thought that escaping would be the best option. Your mind with the king's resources is something we can't fight. As for the photograph, your client may be at peace. I have the better man as my husband, but I shall keep it with me as protection against any further attempts by the king. Very truly yours, Irene Adler." "What a woman!" the king exclaimed. "I'm so sorry that I could not get you the photograph," said Holmes, addressing the king. "On contrary, sir, the woman's word is irrevocable. The photograph is as good as destroyed," the king replied, and the scandal that threatened the kingdom of Bohemia, and the story of how great Sherlock Holmes was beaten by a woman. And so when Sherlock speaks of Irene Adler, he always refers to her with the honorable title of the woman. So I hope you like this chapter. This chapter is over. There is a next chapter, which is chapter 2. So I'll continue with that tomorrow. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.